I'm sitting here with T. She says she wants, but well, we'll give her the whole story. She wants to do a word on the hall, and Dylan told her that she never gets here early enough in the morning. She never gets here early enough in the morning to actually, you have been at school the past few days, which is great. She never gets here early enough to actually, not weeks. I'm not giving you weeks. You hadn't been here for weeks. She never gets here early enough in the mornings to actually go out and do word on the hall. She said she wants to go on tomorrow and actually do word on the hall. I told her she had to get here early. She said, I'll have to take the bus. I said, how do you normally get here? She says,
my sister.
Her sister. I said, so your sister's on her way to work in the mornings and just drops you off? And she says, mm-hmm. And then I said, what does your sister do? And she said, you said you don't know what your sister does. Who here at Horn Lake High School has a sibling who goes to work every day and you don't know what they do? Like, you could not actually tell me, could not vocalize what their actual job is. T?
I think it's like a sales vibe.
A sales vibe is not a job. A sales vibe is a feeling.
But she's selling things.
Okay, so right now we rolled the camera really quickly. Dylan just rolled the camera because I made her text her sister right now to see what her sister actually does, because I wanted her sister to know that T doesn't even know what her job is. She did say, we got a hint, Lewis. It's on Goodman Road. I know that. I know it's on Goodman Road somewhere. Teachers, if you teach T here, I want you to give her a hard time for not even knowing what her own sister does for work. And it's not like an estranged sister or something you never talk to. You ride in the car with her every morning, and you don't know what her job is.
I know where her boyfriend works.
I know where the boyfriend works. I know what he does.
That'd be the topic, like in the car. They're talking about his job.
So she talks about her boyfriend all the time.
I ain't.
It is ridiculous that you don't know what your sister's job is. I mean, this is sad.
Selling things.
Selling things is, that's like me saying when somebody says, Mr. Lewis, what do you do for work? I do stuff. I just do stuff.
You do stuff.
I just do stuff. Laisha, you have any brothers or sisters? Your only child?
Yes, I got
2 brothers.
Okay.
What do your brothers do?
One goes to college and one is a fireman.
We know what they do.
Yay!
Hey, do you know what college your brother goes to?
No.
Text him right now. Text your brother and ask him what college he goes to. You don't talk to him like that where you can't say...
He's on my dad's side. I mostly talk to people on my mom's side.
Well, it's going to be hard for me to get on to T at this point if you can't tell me where your brother goes to college.
My other brother works at a fire station.
Which fire station?
He switches around. That's how it works. They never work at the same fire station unless they're a lieutenant.
What city? Memphis?
Mm-hmm.
So he hops around Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not letting you off the hook. I'm not letting you off the hook.
My brother, I feel like I should get credit for this. My brother works at Walmart. Be riding with my mama to take him.
If you weren't riding in the car, you probably wouldn't have known where he works either. It's just because you've actually been there. He's got a vest.
Mm-hmm. And I like to wear it sometimes.
Why?
Just like around the house.
Her sister at this point is ghosting her. I guess she's not responding. We'll have to come back on another segment to actually find out. For now, y'all go ahead and email us and see if you can guess maybe where T's sister works, or maybe one of you actually know where T's sister works. You like no clue. You say sales, no clue.
I know where she works. I told you where she works.
Where?
I told you that she sells things.
Welcome to Eagle Vision for Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. I'm Sarah, and today's top story highlights College Week here at Horn Lake. Today, we want to highlight the financial aspects of college and give students a good idea of what they can expect.
I guess go ahead and tell me a little bit about some of the costs of college and what students can expect.
Okay, so each college will break down cost of college into different categories. So you'll have direct costs and indirect costs. So your direct costs are your tuition, your room and board, your residence hall. So those things that are actually billed to your student account at the college. Your indirect costs will typically be categorized as a personal expense category, miscellaneous and transportation. You see it categorized different things at schools, but that actually adds up for students. That can mean anything from paying for your laundry to get done in the dorm. It could mean that maybe you're going to go out to eat in town with your friends one night, and so your meal plan is not going to cover that bill. Maybe it means you're going to take a trip on spring break. You may have lab fees if you're taking some science classes. You may have to buy a certain uniform if you're in nursing school or some kind of medical professional. You may have to buy some certain clothes that you wear to class. So there are a lot of additional expenses that go into the indirect costs that aren't billed to your student account necessarily, but will go into the expense you need to factor in. It could be as simple as going to the athletic games. Maybe you have to pay for football tickets, or you've got to pay for, parking when you go over to the basketball game or something like that.
Right. So it's a pretty daunting task for students to try to figure out exactly what it's going to cost. What would be the best way for a student to go about that?
Okay, so each school is required to break down those indirect costs as an estimate, which I mentioned. So you'll see that included in their cost of attendance.
So by law, they're supposed to have that listed somewhere.
They should have it listed somewhere. It's estimated. It's not necessarily the most accurate information that you can find. They may estimate that living in town costs this many $1,000s, where you could do it cheaper with more roommates. So it's just a guiding light. It's not the end all be all for students, but we tell them in the cost of attendance, you see the tuition, you see the books, you see the residence hall, and then you will see a line item that will range. Like I said, it's usually called miscellaneous, personal and transportation, other expenses, and it can range anywhere. Some schools it's $2,000. I've seen it up to $8,000 at schools. So when you're looking at the full cost of attendance, a student will panic and think, that's a lot of money that I've got to write a check for. And it's important to remember for students, it does add to your bill. That's an expense that those costs will make college more expensive for you. But just like they can make it more expensive, they also can make it cheaper. So if you're looking at that final line item on the cost of attendance, you have to remember that miscellaneous number is not something that you actually write a check for to the school. Okay. So if you don't want to go on spring break, if you don't have these extra fees, if maybe your athletic tickets are covered with your tuition, those fees may not be there for you, or they may not be there in full. So they may be budgeted at $8,000, and for you, it's only $2,000. So that's something, that number varies heavily by the student and by their family.
So the college tries to guesstimate what it would be to try to comply, to make sure they're complying with
It's
the law.
Very much an average, very much this is what we are anticipating that your extra fees, your extra expenses, things may add up. You may have to buy some extra study tools, some extra books. You may buy some ACT, or test prep books or whatever for certain classes. So it's just an estimate, but it is not anything that's set in stone. You're going to turn around and write a check to the student's financial account at the office that manages all of their money. It's not anything billed to their account typically, unless it is things like your parking pass, your athletic tickets, things like that they can swipe your student ID and charge your account for. But obviously your school supplies and your clothes and scrubs and lab fees, things like that may go into account as well.
Okay, the vocabulary word of the day I mentioned earlier, bursar, and you said a lot of high school students don't know what it is. To be honest with you, a lot of adults don't know what that is.
Right.
So explain that person to me.
Okay, that's the person that's managing your account. So it's essentially at the school, kind of like your bank. So that's the person that's charging your account with the charges that are placed on the account. It's also the person that's taking payment. So if you're on some kind of payment plan, or your family's on a payment plan, or any kind of credits come into your account. So maybe you have a scholarship of $1,000, and that $1,000 gets credited to your account, reducing the balance that you owe the school. So that office is responsible for sending out your monthly bills, sending out your statements, letting you know if anything's on your account. Because as you probably know from your time in school, if something is on your account and it gets time to register for the next semester's classes, they won't let you register and make a schedule until that account's cleared. So you may think, I'm ready to go sign up for classes, and in reality, maybe you got a parking ticket for $15 or so. If you can find a parking ticket as cheap as $15, more power to you. But you've got to go clear that up and get that account cleared before they'll let you make a class schedule for the next semester. So they just are in charge of making sure you can see your account at any time, what credits, what charges are there.
Is that an office that a student can contact even ahead of time before going to college with any possible questions?
They can, and a lot of times you'll see it rolled into maybe the student's financial aid office, so it's sometimes operating out of the same place. Not every school refers to it by the same thing, but usually it's account services, it's students' accounts, it's student affairs services. So you'll find it in different places, but a lot of times it does operate pretty closely with the financial aid office because they're processing the student aids awards and their scholarships as well. Even admissions are sometimes processing scholarships. So a student's credit in their account can actually be involving multiple departments at the university because everybody's got something to credit or charge.
Okay, here at the Get to College Center, y'all are tasked with assisting students with any kind of help that they need as far as getting ready for college. What do y'all typically tell a student to be prepared for? Let's just pick a school, let's say one of the state schools here in Mississippi. What should students really be preparing for? Let's say they're a sophomore or a junior now, because I know there's also expenses that a lot of people don't take into consideration, like let's just say transportation, for instance. What should students be preparing for before college as far as financially? What do they need to be doing? Obviously, filling out scholarships. But beyond that, what would you tell? What advice would you give them?
Definitely filling out scholarships. They should probably come meet with us as well and do one-on-one appointments. We're also in the schools often, but you'll see this sheet sitting right in front of me that it's called What is College Going to Cost? So it's got the tuition, room, and board. That's easy. You know, students are used to comparing that. But then it's got all these factors of things I maybe am not thinking about, so I need to compare. And so it lets them actually make a personal budget and see the real line item here. And then that usually wakens them up to, oh, this is going to be about $20,000 a year to head to a state school here in Mississippi. So where's that money coming from? So if it does anything, it at least motivates them to start working on ACT and getting those grades up so that they can get academic scholarships. And then once they get those academic scholarships, they're like, what am I going to qualify for in need-based aid? I need to start figuring that out. And so they start adding up the things that they have and figuring out ways to get more scholarships. Maybe I'm going to work a summer part-time job and save that, and that's going to pay for my sorority and fraternity dues, which again, another cost that people don't think about. Maybe I'm going to put aside the money for my books or whatever it may be, but it'll just motivate them, especially at that sophomore, junior level that you mentioned. They've still got some time in high school. They've got time to get those grades up, get the ACT up. The more scholarship money you can get, that's just free money rewarding you for things you've already done. So get that up. And then all the money that you and your family have maybe set aside can go towards some of these extra expenses that you weren't necessarily factoring in.
Right. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And again, they can come see us at any time here in the center and make an appointment where we sit down and talk about all of this one-on-one. We talk about their personal timeline, things they personally need to be doing once we've met with the individual student and get a sense of where they are and where they're planning to go.
This week's feature vocabulary words are glaring, hardship, and hurdle. Glaring, extremely obvious or conspicuous. Hardship, severe suffering or deprivation. Hurdle, move or cause to move at a great speed, typically in an uncontrolled manner.
Good morning, Horn Lake Eagles. I wanted to talk to you all about the varsity cheerleader tryouts. In order to try out for the team, you must have a completed form, a physical fitness form, and also your insurance card. In order to visit the clinic, you can pay a registration fee for $25. You can start picking up forms today. In order to try out for the team, you must turn in your packets on the first day of tryouts. There will be no exceptions. In order for more info, you can visit Miss Salisbury on B5 or Mrs. Buse on F11. Thank you.
It's now time for today's announcements. Pay attention, there's lots of important information that we need you to know. Prom tickets are now on sale. Juniors and seniors are able to purchase prom tickets before school or during break. Tickets are $75 and all guests outside of Horn Lake High must be approved by administration. Guest approval forms are available in the front office. Students, the Prom DJ song request form is now live on our website. This year, the Horn Lake Prom will feature a local DJ and he's wanting you to decide what music will be played. You can log on to our website, hornlakehigh.com, and click the link in the middle of the page. The form is simple, asking students to submit the song title and artist. Seniors, it's now time to start sending us pictures for the senior video. You can send pictures and videos to our email account, hornlaketv@gmail.com. That's it for today's episode. Here at Horn Lake, we are better students, always growing and expecting more. Stay tuned for your lunch menus and athletic schedules. We'll see you here tomorrow. Have a fantastic day.